Hello everyone. In today's video, I will discuss about social construction of gender. This is a very significant topic, a very interesting topic for debate in the sociology and other social science disciplines. Usually, it is being said that sex is naturally given and gender is socially constructed. But in sociology, it is understood how both sex and gender is socially and culturally constructed. So, social construction of gender has to be interpreted in a sociological way. There are various schools of thought in sociology, and these schools of thought understood social construction of gender in different way. So we have to understand what exactly social construction of gender means, what it implies, and how we can relate the social construction of gender in our society. So first important thing which I shall highlight is the works on social construction of gender. What are the major works? What are the major sociological and philosophical works on the social construction of gender? Particularly, I will mention the names like Judith Butler, Kessler and McKenna, West and Zimmerman, Betsy Lockel, Simon de Vivor, etc. These thinkers, these scholars, particularly focused on the social construction of gender. Their understanding of the gender from sociological, philosophical, political, psychological approaches made it very clear. That is how we can uh, we can understand the social construction of gender. How we can have a clear views on the social construction of gender, because we simply know that gender is socially constructed, but how the gender is socially constructed, how we can understand the gender as socially constructed phenomenon, how we can define gender as socially and culturally constructed phenomenon or reality, that we have to understand from these works. And these sociologists, philosophers, scholars used different concepts, different ideas to explain the social construction of gender. Particularly Kessler and McKenna, who used ethnomethodological concept like natural attitude of society towards gender, then doing of gender, which was used by Western Zimmerman, then gender display, which was used by Kessler and McKenna. Actually, the gender display was the Goffman's idea, which used in their study for explaining, for describing social construction of gender. So one by one, these conceptual issues, these conceptual understandings, I will present before you. But first, I will try to explain briefly what social construction of gender is, how we can understand the social construction of gender. Now, two categories of terms. One category is one category signifies sex, that is male female. Another category signifies gender, that is man and woman. But here, this issue of social construction of gender comes. Male female. Male female actually signifies two biologically, physiologically distinct body, two distinct bodies, two different kind of bodies. And in these two different kind of bodies, two different categories of attributes attached. And once these distinct attributes got attached in the society and in the culture. They got a shape in the form of gender, that is man and woman. But when we say male and female, it not just signifies two different or two distinct bodies or biological characteristics. Rather, it also signifies associated gender. When we are saying male, it signifies man. When we are saying female, it signifies woman. That means these two categories are interrelated, interdependent. They are not independent. There is male and female categorization depends on the categorization of these two bodies into man and woman. So once a person bonds, this one child bonds, this child's this child get identified as either male or female. Once the person is identified as male, this child starts getting socialized into the culture, socialized into the society according to this gendered way. So that means this male child becomes the man. Any case, the child which is ambiguous, biological features are ambiguous, then different issues comes. Then it becomes difficult for society to decide whether to impose man gender or woman gender upon this child. So this issue I will discuss later. So your point is that these two categories, one category is male female, another category is man and woman. Both these two categories actually signifies two different socially and culturally developed person, culturally and socially socialized person, and these two persons have two different and distinct body characteristics, physiological characteristics, but these physiological characteristics are not enough to live in the society. Particular body imbibes certain kind of social and cultural characteristics and becomes the man, and another person becomes the woman. So this is how this categorization happens. But social construction of gender implies that society only society only accept binary gender. Society only accept binary sex gender model. Binary sex gender model means that is man and woman. Man, when we are saying man, that means opposite entity is there, woman. When we are saying woman, opposite entity is there, man. So these two opposite entities can only accepted, can exist. So it is called compulsory gender model, or the binary gender model. There is compulsory binary gender model. There is binary model used has to be used for gendered socialization in the society. Secondly, masculinity and femininity. These are two significant entities. These are two fundamental entities in the society that describes, that interprets the social construction of gender. There is the prevalence of masculinity and femininity, and these two entities actually describes the social construction of gender. These two entities actually interprets what gender exactly means. Masculinity, which is a kind of attribute of a person. Femininity, which is a kind of attribute of another person. Now, who shall have the masculinity and who shall have the femininity? This is again socially given, prescribed, according to the society's norms and values, according to the normative structure of the society, men must have the masculine feature, masculine attitude, masculine behavior, masculine appearances, and women must have the feminine characteristics, feminine attributes, feminine attitudes, feminine behaviors, appearances. And this is how society differentiates, society accepts. If anyone who crosses this line is not getting legitimized, is not getting accepted or justified. Any kind of behavior that goes beyond this line or cross this line gets unaccepted or gets rejected in the society. So her point is that masculinity and femininity. Now this masculinity is not biological, is not naturally given. Rather, it is something which is socially and culturally developed behavior. So this masculinity is believed as a feature of male. There is male body which must have masculine characteristic, but masculine is something which is not related to body, but the social and cultural construction of masculinity is very well connected with the body called male. Now it is understood as a synonym. That is, when we are saying male, we mean masculine body, but it is not necessary that male body always signifies masculine feature or characteristic. But due to the social construction of our attitude, social construction of this particular phenomena called gender, this masculine has become an entity closely attached with the male body. Similar is the case with the femininity, which is again another kind of entity, characteristic or behavior pattern of a person, which must be attached with the female body. If we are saying female, that means automatically our mind goes to the feminine characteristic, femininity. If any female person, if any female body is not feminine, so society creates lot of restrictions for the person. Society creates imposes restrictions. Society imposes barriers. So society's normative system says that if it is a female body, then it has to go with the femininity. So here the social construction of gender is saying that this femininity and masculinity are two important entities. These two important entities are actually the expression of binary gender. And this expression of binary gender in the form of masculinity and femininity is the social construction of gender. So this is how these things are interrelated. When these two concepts reinforce each other. Social construction of gender implies the femininity and masculinity. Again, this masculinity and femininity implies the social construction of gender. So these two concepts mutually reinforce each other. These two concepts or entities or phenomena explain each other, interpret each other. So we have to understand these two entities as the fundamental aspect for the social construction of gender.